There are 274 hidden Easter eggs, secret references, and bizarre details buried inside Skyrim that most players have never found, and tonight we're going through every single one of them. Before I move forward, I'm counting on you to support my channel by clicking that tiny subscribe button so that we can spread these amazing videos to folks like you around the world. Thank you. I put this video together because I've spent years playing Skyrim, and I kept noticing things that nobody was talking about. Small things. A book title that references a real myth. A skeleton in a position that only makes sense if you know what happened there. A character who says one throwaway line that actually contradicts everything the game tells you about the world. I started writing them down. Eventually, I had hundreds of them. When I was assembling this list, I made a deliberate choice to lead with the ones that feel like accidents, the ones that suggest the developers were having private conversations with each other inside the game, and to leave the more well-known ones for later, so that even if you've seen Easter egg videos before, this one should still surprise you. One more thing before we get into it. This video is long. It's designed to be long. Put it on, lie down, let it run. You don't have to watch it, just listen. Let's start at the beginning. In the Ratway beneath Riften, there is a room that contains nothing except a skeleton, a journal, and a spilled bottle of Alto wine. The journal reads like a person who came down here looking for something and gradually forgot what it was. There's no quest attached to it. No reward. It's just a story the developers left in the dark for someone to find. Most players never do. In Whiterun, if you ask the blacksmith Adrienne Avenici about her father, she mentions that he doesn't approve of her work. Her father is Proventus Avenici, the steward of Dragonsreach, a man who stands 10 feet above the city in one of its most powerful positions. This is a reference to the real and very human tension between children and parents who achieved something the child then had to stand in the shadow of. There is a book in Skyrim called The Lusty Argonian Maid. It is played for laughs. But if you read it carefully, the Argonian character named Lifts Her Tail is actually the one with all the power in the conversation. Every line she delivers controls the situation. The joke is on the surface. The commentary is underneath. In Markarth, there is a boy named Constantin, who stands near the smelter and watches the workers. He has no dialogue. He cannot be interacted with in any meaningful way. He is simply there, watching. The developers gave him a name, a schedule, and a place in the world, and then gave him nothing to say. He is one of the saddest characters in the game. The Thieves Guild questline contains a character named Maven Blackbriar, and she is one of the few NPCs in the game who can tell the Dragonborn in direct terms to leave her alone. She does not fear you. She does not react to your status. She has her own power structure, and you are beneath it. In a game full of people who react to how powerful you are, Maven is refreshing in the worst possible way. There is a lighthouse on the northeastern coast of Skyrim called the Pale Pass Lighthouse. Inside, you will find a family that has been entirely wiped out by Fulmer, who came up through a trapdoor in the basement. The lighthouse keeper's journal describes the sounds getting louder over several nights. He kept lighting the lamp. He thought if he kept doing his job, everything would be fine. The journal ends mid-sentence. In Solitude, there is a bard named Pantea Atea, who teaches at the Bard's College and gives you a quest to recover her flute. When you return it, she thanks you, but the way she says it suggests the flute wasn't just an instrument to her. The dialogue points towards something personal. The game never explains what. It just leaves that weight hanging in the air. There is a cave called Darkwater Pass, where the Fulmer have set up an elaborate camp with cages and equipment for processing prisoners. One of the cages contains a Khajiit. He is alive. He is grateful. But the thing that sticks with you is the other cages, which are empty, but have clearly been used recently. The game does not tell you where those people went. In Riften, there is a canal. At the bottom of that canal, if you go underwater, there are several lockboxes. One of them contains a note that says, simply, "I'm sorry." That's it. No name, no context. Just an apology left at the bottom of a river. The character Barbas, the talking dog companion associated with the Daedric quest for Clavicus File, is voiced to sound genuinely exhausted. Not comedically exhausted, genuinely tired. Like a person who has been doing the same job for centuries and is aware of exactly how pointless it is. The quest he leads you through is almost light-hearted, but Barbas himself reads as someone who stopped finding it funny a long time ago. There is a Dwemer ruin called Nchwanzel beneath Markarth, and inside it you can find the audio logs, essentially, of a Dwemer expedition that went wrong. The notes are written by a scholar who was clearly in love with one of the soldiers in his expedition. He never says it directly. He describes her movements, her decisions, the way she handled a situation. Then, she dies. His final note is purely logistical. He switches entirely into professional language. That switch is the most emotional moment in the whole dungeon. In the companion's questline, there is a moment where you are asked to retrieve a fragment of Wutrad, the great axe of Iskramor. The fragment is in a place that should be heavily guarded. It isn't. The developers left almost no enemies between you and the objective. Players usually assume this is a difficulty oversight. It might be intentional. The quest is about inheritance, about receiving something that was earned by someone else. Maybe the easy retrieval is the point. The dragon Parthenax sits at the throat of the world and speaks in a way that is noticeably different from other dragons in the game. Other dragons are either hostile or subservient. Parthenax is neither. He speaks to you as an equal, who has also made mistakes. His lines are written with more grammatical complexity than any other dragon in the game. The developers clearly spent more time on his dialogue. There is a book called Before the Ages of Man, and it contains a passage that, if read alongside the creation myth of the Nords, suggests that the world is not the first world, that there were worlds before this one, and they were unmade, and the current world is built on top of their ruins. This is never addressed in any quest, it's just there, in a book. On a shelf. In Dawnstar, the innkeeper complains about nightmares every single day. She has been having them for as long as anyone can remember. The quest associated with this involves a Daedric priest who has been poisoning the town's sleep without knowing it. But the innkeeper's complaint is present from the very first moment you enter Dawnstar, before you know anything about the priest. The game drops you into the middle of someone else's ongoing suffering and asks you to walk past it. There is a giant's camp northwest of Whiterun, where, if you look carefully at the objects arranged around the fire, you can see that the giants have organised them deliberately. Bone, then stone, then fire, then sky. It's a cosmological arrangement. The giants may have a theology. The game never explains it. You're just allowed to notice. Lydia, the first housecarl most players ever receive, has a line of dialogue that has become iconic. She says she is sworn to carry your burdens. The line is delivered flatly. Many players find it funny. But the word sworn is doing a lot of work there. She didn't choose you, she was assigned to you. And she will follow you into deaths that were entirely your fault. She says she is sworn, not that she is happy to help or glad to serve. Sworn, that's the whole character. In the quest line for the Dawnguard Dilk, there is a vampire named Sorana who was sealed inside a tomb by her own father. The reason he sealed her there is eventually revealed, but what the game doesn't call your attention to is that she was sealed with no explanation given to her. She woke up alone in a coffin, underground, in the dark. Her father didn't leave a note. The developers gave her a backstory that begins with total abandonment, and then wrote her as someone who is still figuring out how to trust people. That's good characterization. There is a location called Hamar's Shame, which is a cave full of vampires who were once the followers of a hunter named Sirius. Sirius is referenced in notes scattered around the cave. He came to hunt vampires. He became one. The notes track the change in his handwriting. By the last note, the letters are irregular, the sentence is shorter. The transformation is legible in the text itself. The greybeards, the monks who live at High Hrothgar and guard the knowledge of the voice, have a routine that they maintain whether the Dragonborn visits or not. They meditate. They walk. They eat. One of them, Borri, is never seen eating. He simply stands at his meditation spot. All day. In a game full of characters who have schedules that simulate life, Borri's stillness reads as either a bug or a choice. Given who he is, it feels like a choice. In Riften's Blackbriar Meadery, there is an Imperial soldier named Maul who works for Maven. He stands at the gate to Riften and gives new arrivals a quiet warning. He is dressed as a regular citizen, not a soldier. He has abandoned his uniform for employment with a criminal family. The game presents this as simply a fact about him. It doesn't comment, but it suggests an entire history. A man who chose money over allegiance, and now stands at a gate giving warnings to strangers. There is a haunted house in Markarth. This is unusual, because Skyrim does not generally do haunted houses. The Sidna Mine and the Reach have their own horrors, but this specific house, called Vlindrel Hall when you buy it, has a previous owner whose death is investigated in a quest called The Taste of Death. The haunting is religious. The horror is cannibalistic. It is one of the darkest quests in the game, and it ends with the player being invited to join a cult that eats people. You can say yes, the companions are werewolves. This is known. What is less discussed is the fact that the condition was given to them voluntarily, as a gift from a Daedric prince, and that the original companions who accepted it did so, because they were losing a war and needed power. The werewolf curse, as a choice made in desperation by people who were about to lose everything, recontextualizes the entire faction. They didn't become monsters. They chose to become monsters because the alternative was death. There is a city in Morrowind that is referenced several times in Skyrim dialogue without ever being explained. Characters mention Mournhold the way people mention a place they are from, a place that shaped them, a place they cannot return to. The game never provides Mournhold as a destination. It exists only in conversation. This is unusual because Skyrim is generally very literal. What's real is what you can walk into. Mournhold is an absence with a name. In Helgen, during the opening sequence, there is an Imperial soldier named Hadvar who helps you escape. He is professional, calm, and clearly uncomfortable with the execution he just witnessed. If you follow him through the cave, he talks to himself. He narrates the situation in a quiet, practical way. He's doing what needs to be done. This small detail, a soldier who talks himself through a crisis, makes him feel more real than almost any other character in the opening hour. There is a book called The Real Berenzia, which is banned in Skyrim but can still be found. It describes events in the life of a famous queen in ways the official history does not. The official version is in another book, also findable. Both versions reference the same events. In one version, the queen is heroic. In the other, she is complicated, self-interested, and human. The game has two biographies of the same person available simultaneously and invites you to decide which one to believe. In the questline involving the Thieves' Guild, there is a Daedric prince named Nocturnal, who is essentially the patron of shadows and luck and hidden things. Her shrine attendants, the Nightingales, are revealed to have made a permanent bargain, one that extends into their afterlife. When a Nightingale dies, they do not go to Sovngarde. They serve nocturnal forever. The 3 nightingales you work with, including Carlia, have known this the entire time. The quest asks you to join them. Nobody mentions what you're giving up. There is a location called the Throat of the World, and it is the highest point in Skyrim. Standing at the summit, you can look out over the entire map. The game does not reward you for doing this with a cutscene or a prompt. It just lets you stand there. In a world full of quest markers and objectives and things to do, the game's highest point is just a place to stand and look. The Dragon Shout system in Skyrim is built on a language called Dova-Sul, which was constructed by the developers. It has consistent grammar, syntax, and vocabulary. Players have spent years translating environmental text written in this language and have found messages that do not appear in any quest, any book, or any character's dialogue. Some of these messages are instructions, some are warnings, some are names that belong to no known character. There is a dungeon called Blackreach, an enormous underground city built by the Dwemer. The scale of it is intentionally disorienting. The ceiling is so high it has its own weather. There are massive machines whose purpose is never explained. At the centre of Blackreach stands a giant crystal which, when struck with a particular shout, summons a dragon. The dragon is named Volthuriol. He has been down there, in the dark, with nobody to fight, for potentially thousands of years. You summon him, kill him, and leave. He never had a chance to explain himself. In the city of Windhelm, there is a woman named Viola Giordano who is obsessed with finding the Butcher, a serial killer operating in the city. She has notes pinned to walls. She has theories. She is treated by other citizens as an eccentric, a nuisance. She is also almost completely right. The quest to find the Butcher confirms most of her suspicions. The city ignored the woman who was trying to solve the murders. There is a merchant in Solitude named Guillemot. He is an Argonian who works as a shipping agent and, secretly, as a contact for the Thieves' Guild. When you confront him, he tries to run. You chase him through a cave. The cave has bandits in it. And here is the detail. Guillemot is not afraid of the bandits. He moves through them like he owns the place. He might. The game never confirms it, but his comfort in that cave suggests a second life that the questline doesn't explore. The College of Winterhold has a lecturer named Feralda who guards the bridge to the college and tests applicants with a demonstration of magic. The test is always calibrated to what the player has already learned. She asks you to cast something you already know. This is the kind of detail that rewards players who have invested in their character before seeking out the college. The gatekeeper already knows what you're capable of. She just wants to see if you'll admit it. In Riften, there is an orphanage run by a woman named Grelod the Kind. She is not kind, this is known. But the detail that lands hardest is the children themselves. They have been there long enough to have completely given up. They have a game they play where they compete over who is least likely to be adopted. They are children who are competing for the worst outcome. And Grelod keeps telling them they will never be adopted. Some of them believe her. There is a book in Skyrim called The Lusty Argonian Maidvold 2. It exists. It continues the story. It has a character who delivers a speech about labour rights while in the middle of an absurd scenario. The joke is still running, but somewhere inside the joke is a genuine argument about fair wages and working conditions in a fantasy economy. Bethesda hid a political pamphlet inside an adult comedy. The Khajiit caravans that travel between cities in Skyrim are never allowed inside city gates. They camp outside. This is racial discrimination written into the world's architecture, and the game depicts it without comment. The Khajiit merchants will tell you about it if you ask them the right questions. They are not angry about it. They have adapted. They built their whole commercial model around not being let in. There is a mountain pass called Autumn Watch Tower, and at the top of the tower you find 2 dead hunters who have been killed by a dragon. The tower is optional. The dragon at the top is optional. But if you look at the position of the bodies, one of the hunters died in the doorway, trying to get inside. The other one died on the stairs, climbing toward the other. They died trying to reach each other. In Solstheim, the island added in the Dragonborn Dilk, there is a village called Skarl Village, where the residents have an ancient spiritual practice connected to the land. The village elder, Freya, will be your companion through much of the DLC. She is a better companion than most, because she has opinions. She comments on what she sees. She disagrees with you. She asks questions. She is one of the only companions in the game who feels like she has her own agenda. There is a dungeon called Labyrinthian that was once a great city. You can see the ruins of what it was. The game gives you fragments of a story about a group of mages who came here long ago and died here. The story is told through ghostly echoes, brief moments where you see the past. The group was led by a man named Sarvos Aren, who is now the Archmage of the College of Winterhold. He survived. The game leaves you to work out what that means about him. The dragon priests in Skyrim are former priests who were so devoted to dragons that the dragons granted them a form of undeath. They have been waiting in their tombs for the return of dragon rule. Some of them have been waiting for thousands of years. The masks they wear are status symbols from a civilization that no longer exists. They wake up to serve masters who are dying. There is something genuinely mournful about what they are. There is a cave called Sightless Pit. If you fall into it from the cliff above, which is easy to do, you land in Dwemer ruins and have to find your way out. The name of the cave is a warning. The game placed the name of the cave on a marker that you pass before you can read it. By the time you understand what it means, you're already inside. In Riften's marketplace, there is a woman named Maurice Aravel who sells meat and vegetables. She has a secret. She is a vampire. She has arranged her entire life in Riften to manage her condition. She buys ice wraith teeth from adventurers because the cold helps suppress her hunger. She has been living among the people of Riften for years, managing something they don't know about, fitting in, surviving. The game presents this as a small side note. She's just a merchant with an unusual shopping list. The dragon Alduin is described throughout Skyrim as the World Eater, a being whose purpose is to end the current age of the world. He is the main villain. But the Greybeards will tell you, if you listen carefully, that Alduin was not supposed to be evil. He was supposed to do his job at the right time. He went off script. He started eating the world early. The heroes of the ancient world didn't defeat Alduin because he was wrong. They defeated him because he was impatient. There is a location in the Reach called Deepwood Redoubt, and it is occupied by a faction called the Forsworn. The Forsworn are the original inhabitants of the Reach, driven out by the Nords. They fight with bone and leather and raw conviction. The game allows you to view them as bandits. It also allows you to read their history. Both views are available. The game does not resolve the tension between them. In Whiterun, there is a tree called the Gildergreen. It is dying when you first arrive. A quest asks you to revive it. The tree is sacred to Kynareth, the god of nature. The woman who runs the temple, Danica, is watching the sacred tree of her god die, and there is nothing she can do about it alone. The quest is simple. But the image of a priestess watching her faith's central symbol deteriorate is not. There is a Nord named Galmar Stonefist, who is the first soldier of Ulfric Stormcloak, the rebel leader. Galmar is not subtle. He is not diplomatic. He believes with total conviction in the cause he serves. He has probably killed a lot of people. He is also genuinely loyal in a way that is rare in Skyrim's world of shifting allegiances. If you join the Imperials, Galmar dies fighting. He doesn't run. He doesn't surrender. He dies for what he believed. The game doesn't give him a redemption arc. He just dies for his side. The town of Helgen destroyed in the game's opening, can be revisited throughout your playthrough. It is always rubble. No one rebuilds it. The survivors scatter. There is a mod that rebuilds it, which became one of the most popular mods ever made, because players found the abandonment of Helgen genuinely upsetting. The developers left a wound in the map and let it stay open. There is a small island off the northern coast of Skyrim that has no name and no quest marker. If you swim out to it, you find a horse standing alone. The horse cannot be interacted with. It has no owner. It just stands there on a tiny island in the frozen northern sea. The developers put it there and never explained it. The horse has been standing on that island for 14 years. In the Dark Brotherhood questline, there is an assassination that takes place on a ship. The target is the Emperor of Tamriel, but the Emperor you eventually encounter is a decoy, a double, put in place precisely because someone knew the Brotherhood was coming. The real Emperor, when you finally reach him, has been informed of the assassination attempt. He knows you're there. He lets you in anyway. He asks you to kill him properly. He is tired of being Emperor. This is one of the few moments in Skyrim where a target is genuinely complicated. There is a Daedric quest involving Sheogorath, the Prince of Madness. He has taken up residence in the mind of a dead emperor and is playing croquet on the Pelagius Wing lawn. The quest involves fixing the dead emperor's mental scars using tools of madness. The entire quest is absurd. But the details of the mental landscape you walk through, the paranoia, the anger, the depression, the isolation, these map closely to real psychological experiences. The joke is elaborate. The thing underneath it is not. Mirak, the main antagonist of the Dragonborn DLC, was the first Dragonborn. He made the same journey the player character makes, and then went further. He served a Daedric prince. He tried to escape. He was imprisoned for thousands of years. By the time you fight him, he has been underground so long that he has forgotten why he started any of this. He says things in the final confrontation that suggest he expected this moment to feel different. It's a villain who is disappointed in how his story turned out. There is a character named Neloth, who appears in both Skyrim's main game and the Dragonborn DLC. He is a Dunmer wizard of great power and absolutely no social grace. He will insult you while asking for your help. He will forget your name. He will express academic interest in your death while you are dying. He is also one of the most consistently present characters in the game, and across the DLC there are small moments where he almost expresses something that resembles care. Almost. The Fulmer, the blind underground creatures you fight throughout Skyrim's Dwemer ruins, were not always what they are. They were once the Snow Elves, an ancient civilization that was driven underground by the Nords and forced to serve the Dwemer. The Dwemer fed them a fungus that blinded them over generations. The degeneration into what they are now was not natural. It was done to them deliberately. You kill them by the hundreds in most dungeon runs. The game tells you their history in side quests and books. In Markarth, the entire city is built inside an ancient Dwemer city. The stonework is Dwemer. The pipes are Dwemer. The forges are Dwemer. The Nords who lived there built their civilization on top of a civilization they don't understand, using technology they cannot replicate. One character, Calchelmo, has devoted his life to understanding Dwemer language and culture. He has produced a body of research that is extensive and impressive. He is also clearly aware that he is standing in the middle of something vast that he will never fully comprehend. There is a giant campsite called Sleeping Tree Camp, and it contains a tree that produces a sap that causes hallucinations. Nearby is a dead giant who was killed by someone who wanted the sap and didn't want to negotiate. A Khajiit named Uragrashub. No, wait. A dealer in Whiterun is selling the sap. His supplier is listed in a journal near the tree. Someone is maintaining a drug supply chain, using a magic tree guarded by giants, and the game presents this as a small economic detail in an optional location. The Bard's College in Solitude is one of Skyrim's more obscure joinable factions. The quests it gives you are not about fighting. They are about recovering lost history. One quest sends you to retrieve a drum. One sends you for a flute. One sends you to burn an effigy of an ancient king. The burning is a festival tradition. The king it represents was a tyrant who suppressed music and art. The Bard's College has been symbolically burning him every year for centuries. Cultural memory maintained through ritual. There is a dungeon called Forelhost that is entirely dedicated to a group of dragon cult priests who sealed themselves inside and drank poison rather than be captured. You explore the aftermath. The journals tell the story from multiple perspectives, and the disagreements between those perspectives are visible even in death. Some of them didn't want to do it. The ones who wanted to die won the argument. In Riften, there is a man named Sibby Blackbriar who is in jail. He is a member of the Blackbriar family, which controls Riften. He is in jail because he killed someone. He is also going to get out of jail very soon because his mother controls the city. He is in jail the way someone who knows they're getting out of jail is in jail. He has opinions. He gives you a quest. He is casual about his own imprisonment in a way that is more unsettling than if he were angry. There is a Daedric artifact called the Ring of Namira that allows the wearer to cannibalize fallen enemies. To get it, you must eat human flesh in a ceremony with a cult. The Ring of Namira is listed in the game's achievement list as a collectible. Getting all Daedric artifacts is an achievement. The game rewards you for collecting a cannibalism ring. Valtheim Towers is a ruin that has been converted into a bandit toll booth. Bandits are charging travellers to pass through. This is a business model. It requires infrastructure, a defensible position, a mechanism for charging, and enough traffic to make it profitable. The bandits of Valtheim Towers have founded a company. They just don't know to call it that. In Markarth's Understone Keep, there is a court wizard named Calselmo, who is the foremost authority on Dwemer civilization. He is also deeply anxious about his research being stolen. He has a whole wing of the keep locked off for his own research. He has a guard he pays personally to protect the area. He is the most defensive academician in Skyrim, and given that his research is genuinely unprecedented and valuable, his defensiveness is not irrational. He is paranoid and correct simultaneously. There is a book called The Wolf Queen, which tells the history of Queen Potema of Solitude, one of Skyrim's most famous historical figures. The book is written as a historical account, but the author's bias is visible in the writing. Potema is described as calculating and dangerous, but the details the author provides actually make her sound like someone who was effective and was punished for it. The book is written to condemn her. It accidentally makes her interesting. The Riften docks are home to a woman named Wujita, who is addicted to skooma, the narcotic substance that appears throughout the Elder Scrolls games. She asks you for a health potion. If you give it to her, she becomes a source for a quest to break up a skooma operation. But before the quest, she is just a person who needs a health potion. The game allows you to say no. Many players do, because it's not marked as a quest-giver interaction. She's just a person at the dock who needs help. There is a location called Sleeping Tree Cave, and inside it is an orc named Urog who has been hired to protect the tree. He doesn't know what the tree is. He was paid to guard it. He does his job with complete professionalism. He will fight you if you try to take the sap. He is the most straightforward character in a location full of mystery. He's just working. In the quest A Night to Remember, which is a reference to The Hangover, you wake up in a temple with no memory of the previous night and have to retrace your steps. The quest is comedic. The references are obvious. But one detail is not played for laughs. When you eventually find what you did, one of the things you did was destroy something that belonged to someone who cared deeply about it. You never see that person's reaction. The comedy stops just before the consequence. There is a cave called Crystal Drift Cave that has no quests associated with it, no significant loot, no enemies of note. It is just a beautiful cave with a pond and some fish and moss growing on the walls. The developers built something with no mechanical purpose, something you're supposed to just be in for a moment. In the city of Windhelm, the area called the Grey Quarter is where the Dunmer refugees live. They fled from Morrowind after the Red Mountain eruption and came to Skyrim as displaced people. The Nords of Windhelm have put them in the worst part of the city. The Dunmer have been there long enough to have established community, businesses and culture in the Grey Quarter, but they are still not welcome in the city proper. The Grey Quarter is both a ghetto and a home. The people who live there have made it one while being forced into the other. There is a quest called the Pale Lady, involving a wraith who haunts a tomb and kills anyone who enters. The backstory reveals that the wraith was a woman who came to the tomb looking for her daughter and never left. She became the thing she was searching a dark place for. The game presents this in fragments, as it usually does, and lets you piece it together while fighting something terrifying. There is a character named Aventus Aretino who is performing the Black Sacrament, a ritual to contact the Dark Brotherhood, from his childhood home in Windhelm. He is a child. He is doing this because Grelod the Kind is mistreating the orphans. He is trying to hire assassins because no adult in Windhelm has done anything. The city's guards walk past his house where he is performing a blood ritual every day and do nothing. The Dark Brotherhood hears him. The guards do not. In the Thieves' Guild, there is a fence named Tornilia who sells equipment to guild members. She has a backstory that you have to actively pursue through dialogue to uncover. She was once a very successful independent thief who joined the guild because she had no choice. She is now a fence. She is deeply aware of the distance between what she was and what she is. She talks about it only if you ask the right questions, and only in fragments. There is a Dwemer ruin called Erkinghand, and at the deepest point of it is a massive bronze eye mounted on a pivot. It is called the Eye of the Falmer, and it is the MacGuffin of the Thieves' Guild questline. But when you get to it and look at it, it is genuinely enormous. The scale of it is disproportionate to any practical purpose. The Dwemer built an eye the size of a building. The game does not explain what they were watching. The quest involving Meridia's beacon begins with the player accidentally picking up a small orb and immediately receiving a vision and a mission from a goddess. Meridia is not subtle. She does not ask, she assigns. And the thing she wants you to do is clear her temple of the undead, which she hates. She rewards you with a powerful sword. The entire interaction suggests a being who is used to getting what she wants and has not made peace with the concept of gratitude. There is a location called Reachwind Eyrie, a Dwemer tower in the Reach. It has no quest. It has minimal enemies. At the top, there is a Dwemer telescope pointed at the sky. The Dwemer were watching the stars. The game doesn't say why, it just shows you the telescope. In the Dragonborn DLC, the island of Solstheim has an area called the Sunstone, where enslaved workers are building something under the influence of Mirak. They work without stopping. They work through exhaustion. Some of them have been working so long, they are barely coherent. When you free them, some of them are confused about where they are. They don't remember how long they've been working. They just remember working. There is a book called Songs of the Return that chronicles the voyage of Iskra and the 500 companions from Atmora to Tamriel. It is presented as a heroic epic. Read carefully, it is a description of a genocide. The companions arrived and killed every snow elf they could find, because the snow elves had attacked their city in Atmora. The song celebrates the killing. The game also shows you what happened to the snow elves. Both stories exist simultaneously. The Thieves' Guild questline involves a conspiracy that goes back centuries, and uncovering it reveals that the guild has been under a curse that weakened it, explaining its current state of decline. This is presented as a twist, but if you talk to guild members before the quest reveals this, several of them mention that things used to be better. They attribute it to bad luck. They have been experiencing a supernatural curse and have explained it to themselves as a run of bad fortune. The curse didn't just affect their operation, it affected how they understood what was happening to them. There is a cave called Hobbs Fall where renegade mages have set up a laboratory. The experiments in the laboratory are described in journals. The journals become more erratic as they continue. By the last one, the handwriting is no longer legible. The mage who wrote the journals went somewhere in his research that he didn't come back from. The cave is his last known location. Ulfric Stormcloak, the leader of the Nordic rebellion, can be killed or can win, depending on your choices. If he wins, he becomes High King. There is a scene that can play out where he addresses his men in victory. It is a good speech. Then the game quietly notes, in a loading screen text, that Ulfric's methods of governing were controversial, that some of the promises he made about freedom were not kept, that the Thalmor, the elven supremacists he supposedly hated, were quietly pleased with the chaos his rebellion caused, because it weakened the empire that opposed them. Ulfric wins, and is immediately complicated by a loading screen. There is a Dunmer wizard named Niloth, mentioned earlier, who has a tower called Tel Mithrin in Solstheim. He has a steward named Verona. If you are not paying attention, Verona dies during the DLC, killed by Ashbourne while running an errand for Neloth. Neloth sends you to find her. You find her body. When you report back, Neloth is quiet for a moment. He says it is difficult to find good help. The game moves on. That pause was as close as Neloth gets to grief. In the main questline, the player's character is established as Dragonborn, a person with a dragon's soul in a human body. The implications of this are enormous and are mostly not addressed. What does it mean to have the soul of a creature that views time differently, that absorbs the knowledge of the dead, that can command the very fabric of reality through shouting? The game gives you powers and sends you on quests. The implications of what you are sit mostly unexamined. There is a word wall at a location called Dragon's Lair on an island in Skyrim's northern waters. To get to it, you have to kill a frost dragon who has been living there. When you absorb the dragon's soul, you learn a word. The dragon was guarding the knowledge of its own death shout. The dragon was sitting on a weapon that could have been used to kill dragons, including itself. The dragons have an uncomfortable relationship with the words they keep. In Riften's Honeyside House, which you can purchase, there is a garden on the dock. It is the only player home in the game with outdoor growing space adjacent to water. Players who bought it describe it as the most peaceful location in the game. The developers built a small dock garden attached to a house in a city famous for crime and corruption. It is the game's most incongruous piece of atmosphere. The companions have a shield sister named Ayla the Huntress, who is one of the more well-developed characters in the faction. She is a werewolf who does not want to be cured. She believes the beast blood is a gift. She is also the faction's expert archer, a skill that predates her werewolf transformation. She was already exceptional before the gift. The gift made her extraordinary. She knows this about herself and has no interest in pretending otherwise. There is a Nord named Ralof who helps you escape Helgen on the Stormcloak side of the opening. He is the counterpart to Hadvar. Where Hadvar is professional and controlled, Ralof is passionate and certain. He believes fully in his cause from the first minute. When you emerge from the cave, he tells you where to go, and then goes his own way. The game presents this choice, which direction you go next, as your first real choice. Both men are doing what they think is right. In the Mages Guild equivalent, the College of Winterhold, there is a dungeon beneath the college called the Midden. It is where failed experiments are kept, where outcasts live, and where a Daedric artifact named the Atronach Forge operates. No one assigns you to the Midden. There is no quest that begins with go to the Midden. You find it by exploring. It is the college's basement in every sense of the word. There is a camp called the Shrine of Azura at the top of a mountain south of Winterhold. A woman named Aranea Inith tends the shrine and has been receiving prophetic visions from Azura for years. The visions were about the Dragonborn. She has been waiting for you, not knowing who you were, only that someone was coming. She has been at the top of that mountain in the cold, tending a shrine, waiting. When you arrive, she simply says that she knew you would come. There is a Khajiit named Jazargo, who is a student at the College of Winterhold. He is the only companion in the game who, if asked if you can teach him anything, replies that he is already at your level and does not need your instruction. He is not joking. He believes this completely. He is also one of the most effective mage followers in the game. He may be right. In Solitude, the city built on an arch of rock over a river, there is a public execution at the game's beginning. A man named Rogvir is executed for allowing Ulfric Stormcloak to leave the city after killing the High King. The execution is presented as routine. Citizens watch, guards perform their duty. Rogvir says that what he did was right. He does not ask for mercy. He does not apologize. He dies for a decision he stands by. This is the first thing many players see when they arrive in Solitude. A man dying calmly for a belief. There is a location called Broadsword Gap in the mountains of Skyrim that has no quests, no enemies of significance, and no loot of value. It has a view. Standing there, you can see the geography of the game laid out below you. The developers built a gap in a mountain ridge specifically as a viewpoint. They wanted the player to see the world from that angle and built a path that leads there naturally. The Elder Scrolls are the documents the series is named after. In Skyrim, you can acquire one. When you read it, you go blind. The game is warning you about a cost and then charging it. The blindness is temporary in gameplay terms, but the lore says it is not temporary in reality. People who read the Elder Scrolls without training go blind, and then mad. The Dragonborn reads one and gets a vision. This suggests that the Dragonborn's nature protects them from the true cost of what they are doing. Or the game is being lenient for playability reasons. Both might be true. There is a character named Brelina Marion, a Dunmer student at the College of Winterhold, who gives you a quest that accidentally turns you into a variety of animals. She is practicing a spell and makes mistakes. She is embarrassed. The quest is played lightly. But what it actually depicts is a student who is advanced enough to access transformation magic, but not advanced enough to control it, practicing on another person without full consent, and being embarrassed rather than alarmed. The college's safety culture might be concerning. In Riften, there is a man named Bolly who owns a fishery. He is a perfectly ordinary NPC with a perfectly ordinary life, except that he is married to a Debellan priestess named Haelga, who is having affairs with multiple men in the city. Bolly does not know about the affairs. He talks about his wife warmly. He is one of the most content characters in the city. He is content because he doesn't know what's happening. The game presents this without editorializing and lets you decide what to do with the information. In the companion's questline, there is a moment where you undergo a ritual to become a werewolf. The ritual is performed by Ayla in the Underforge, a chamber beneath Whiterun's Skyforge. The Underforge is older than the Skyforge above it. The fire in the Underforge has been burning for longer than anyone in the companions can account for. They inherited it. They maintain it. they don't fully understand it. The companions are the custodians of something ancient that they have never fully examined. The character Ulfric Stormcloak was once captured by the Thalmor and tortured. He gave them information. The information he gave them led to the deaths of Nords he knew. He doesn't talk about this unless you force the conversation. When you do, he says that he doesn't know how much of what he said was true, and how much was madness induced by the torture. He is uncertain about whether he is responsible for what happened. The game allows this uncertainty to stand without resolving it. There is a dungeon called the Pale Lady that contains a wraith named the Pale Lady, mentioned earlier. But the dungeon also contains, in a side room, a small altar with offerings on it. Fresh offerings. The dungeon is supposed to be a place no one goes. Someone has been leaving offerings at the altar. The game never identifies who. The altar has been tended by an unknown person in a haunted tomb for reasons the game declines to explain. In Markarth, there is an inn called the Silver Blood Inn. The Silver Blood family owns Sidna Mine, the prison, and the inn, and most of the businesses in Markarth. The innkeeper is an employee of the Silver Blood family. When you stay at the inn, you are giving money to the family that runs the city's slave labour prison. Markarth's economy is a circle that flows through the Silver Blood family, and every transaction in the city reinforces it. There is a character named Esbern, who is an old blade scholar who has been hiding in the sewers of Riften for decades. He knows the prophecy about Alduin. He has been hiding because the Thalmor have been hunting Blades members. When you find him, he is living in a tiny room surrounded by his research. He has been alone for so long that his social skills have degraded. He talks to himself. He pauses mid-sentence to clarify things he's already said. He is a man who has been in hiding so long he's forgotten how to talk to people. The Nightingale Hall, the base of operations for the Nightingales, is abandoned at the start of the Thieves Guild questline. It was active when there were more Nightingales. Now there are only a few. The hall has been empty for years. The equipment is still there. The training course is still there. It's maintained by habit more than by need. The Nightingales keep a hall ready for people who are mostly not there. There is a giant named Grok who wanders near a camp called Stonehill Bluff. Giants do not have names in Skyrim. They are labelled as Giant in the HUD. But Grok's name exists in the game's files. He was given a name by a developer. The player never sees it. It is a name that exists only inside the game's code, given to a giant by a person who cared enough to name him. In the quest to Daedra's Best Friend, which features Barbas the talking dog, there is a moment where Barbas explains the relationship between himself and Clavicus Vile. He says the prince is diminished without him. He says that Vile without his better nature is just power and desire. Barbas is not just a pet. He is the part of a Daedric prince that makes the prince capable of anything resembling restraint. A talking dog is the moral compass of a god. There is a location called Orphan Rock, where witches have captured a Vigilant of Stendar. The Vigilant hunts magic users, and Daedra. He was captured while doing exactly that. If you rescue him, he thanks you and leaves. If you talk to him before rescuing him, he is dignified. He doesn't beg. He is a man who does a dangerous job and has been caught and is waiting to see how it ends. He treats his own potential death with professionalism. In Riften's Blackbriar Meadery, there are workers who will tell you, if you ask, that the working conditions are not good. The Meadery is the most successful business in Riften. Its owner is the most powerful person in Riften. The workers know they have no options. They keep working. The Meadery produces something pleasant and operates on something ugly. The game makes this available as information and lets you drink the mead or not. There is a skeever, which is the large rat-like creature in Skyrim, at a location called Clearspring Tarn, who is named Purek in the game's files. He is just a skeever in a cave. He was named Purek by a developer. Purek has no dialogue, no quest, no significance. He is a named rat. The developer who named him is not identified. Purek has been Purek for over 14 years. The quest Blood on Ice in Windhelm is a murder mystery set in a city that is visually cold, architecturally hostile, and socially divided. The murderer's identity, when revealed, recontextualizes several interactions you may have already had in the city. If you have been paying attention, certain details become obvious in retrospect. If you haven't, the reveal still works. It is one of the few quests in Skyrim that rewards close observation. There is a character at the College of Winterhold named Venus Gestor who teaches conjuration. He is anxious about what his students summon. He gives you a quest to retrieve an Atronach that escaped. The Atronach left because the student who summoned it didn't have enough skill to keep it. Finis is the person who cleans up after unsupervised conjuration goes wrong. He has been doing this for years. He is very tired. In Solstheim, there is a village that has been completely buried in ash. It is called Ghosts of the Tribunal in the loading screen description. Walking through it, you can find the preserved outlines of people who were there when the ash fell. They are like the people of Pompeii. The game does not comment on this. It lets you walk through a catastrophe and find your own reaction to it. There is a character named Enthir at the College of Winterhold who operates a black market from inside the college. He sells items that are difficult to find legally. He is a faculty-adjacent figure who has arranged his whole presence at the college around the access it gives him to certain networks. He is not a student. He is not technically faculty. He occupies the college the way someone occupies a free co-working space. The college tolerates him because he is useful. The ancient Nordic tombs scattered across Skyrim are occupied by Draugr, undead warriors who serve the dragon priests who serve the dragons. The tombs are essentially military installations that have been on standby for thousands of years. The Draugr maintain their posts. They patrol. They respond to intrusion. They are soldiers who outlasted their war by millennia and are still reporting for duty in the dark. There is a location called Blind Cliff Cave where a Hagraven named Melka is imprisoned by another Hagraven named Petra. If you free Melka, she helps you fight Petra. After Petra is dead, Melka attacks you. She was always going to do this. She made no secret of being a Hagraven. The game gives you an ally who was always going to betray you and makes the betrayal feel earned because the information was there the whole time. In the quest The Mind of Madness, you enter the mind of the dead Emperor Pelagius Septim III and walk through his psychological damage. The shades of paranoia, rage and depression you encounter are not just puzzle elements. They are a portrait of a historical person who suffered publicly, was recorded as mad, and whose suffering became part of the game's accessible lore. His history is in the book The Wolf Queen. His interior is in this quest. The game built a dead man's mind and let you walk around in it. There is a Nord blacksmith in Whiterun named Orlan Greymane, who is described as the finest smith in Skyrim. He works at the Skyforge, an ancient forge built around a meteorite. He is not a companion, but the companions trust him completely. He is an independent craftsman attached to a warrior faction who has earned their respect through skill alone. When he gives you Ayla's bow as part of the questline, it is a significant act. He is giving you something he made for someone he cares about. The location Sarthal is one of the oldest Nordic settlements in Skyrim. It was excavated by the College of Winterhold because it contains ancient magic sealed inside. The reason the magic was sealed is that the Nords who built Sarthal found something they didn't understand and built their city around it without understanding it, and then the Snow Elves attacked and destroyed the city precisely because of what the Nords had found. The Nords didn't know why they were attacked, they just knew it was devastating. The attack that began the genocide of the Snow Elves was motivated by fear of what the Nords had accidentally found. There is a character named Delphine, who is one of the last blades, and who, early in the main questline, is your primary ally. She is competent, pragmatic, and controlling. She assigns you missions without asking your opinion. When she discovers that Parthernax, your mentor, is a former enemy who reformed, she insists you kill him. She will not continue to help you unless you do. She frames this as a matter of principle. It is also a matter of her personal worldview. She cannot accept reformed enemies. She is one of the few characters in the game who explicitly asks you to do something that might be wrong, and withholds her cooperation until you do it. In the dungeon Ustengrav, you are meant to pick up a horn for the Greybeards. When you get to where the horn should be, there is a note instead: someone got here before you. This is one of Skyrim's cleaner pieces of plot staging. The setup assumes you've been moving toward this objective, building expectation, and then replaces the expected conclusion with a mystery. It works every time. There is a Nord woman in Whiterun named Carlotta Valentia, who is a fruit vendor and a single mother, and is being persistently pursued by a bard named Mikael, who will not accept her refusals. Her quest involves convincing Mikael to stop. The quest is optional. You can never do it. Carlotta will continue to be harassed for the rest of the game if you don't. The game built a harassment situation into a city's daily routine and left it running in perpetuity for players who don't intervene. The Eldergleam Sanctuary is a location deep in a forest where an ancient tree called the Eldergleam lives. It is thousands of years old. It predates most of Skyrim's recorded history. It is worshipped by followers of Kynareth as a living god. The quest associated with it asks you to bring a pilgrim to the tree, and the pilgrim wants to take a sapling from it. The tree does not give saplings willingly. Getting one requires cutting the tree's roots with a special dagger. The pilgrim does not seem to understand what it would mean to cut something that old and sacred. Or he understands and doesn't care. There is a character in the Dark Brotherhood named Cicero, the Jester, who is the keeper of the Night Mother's coffin. He is written as unstable, erratic, and violent. He is also the most loyal character in the faction. He never wavers. He never questions. In a faction built on treachery and self-interest, Cicero is the one person who would genuinely die for what he believes in. He is dangerous because he is sincere. The location Largashbur is an orc stronghold under siege by giants. When you arrive, the orcs are fighting for survival. The stronghold's chief is old and making bad decisions. There is tension between respecting the chief's authority and addressing the crisis. The quest line associated with Largashbur resolves the tension, but the process involves a character death that the stronghold's code requires. The orcs mourn, then they go back to the code that caused the loss. Tradition is heavier than grief. In Whiterun's Hall of the Dead, there is an arcane priest named Anders who is missing his amulet. He lost it in the catacombs below. He is afraid to go down there because the dead have become restless. He is the priest of the god of death, responsible for the dead, and he will not enter the place where the dead are because he is afraid of them. The quest is minor. The irony is not. There is an unmarked grave on a hillside east of Rorikstead. There is no name on it. There is no quest related to it. The grave is just there, on a hill, east of a small farming village, with no explanation. Someone was buried there. Someone put a marker there. The game says nothing else. The ancient Nords who built Skyrim's tombs did so with a sophistication that contradicts the reputation of Nords as unsophisticated warriors. The architecture, the traps, the puzzle-locked doors, the word walls, these are the products of a culture with significant intellectual and technical capacity. The Nords of the game's present are seen by other races as crude and reactionary. The Nords of the past built things that no one alive can fully understand. There is a book called A Dance in Fire that follows a wood elf named Scotty through a series of misadventures in imperial political environments. It is written as comedy, Scotty is perpetually out of his depth. But across the 7 volumes, Scotty becomes competent. Slowly, through failure, he learns. By the final volume, he is succeeding at things that would have destroyed him in Volume 1. The joke gradually becomes a Bildungsroman. If you read all 7 volumes in order, you watch a character grow. The economy of Skyrim is built on a barter system that makes no practical sense when examined closely. You can carry hundreds of pounds of gold and nobody thinks this is unusual. You can sell a dragon bone to a general goods merchant. The game simulates commerce without simulating economics. But there is one character, a merchant in solitude named Beyrand, who talks about supply chains and material sourcing in a way that actually makes sense. He is an outlier. He understands logistics in a world that otherwise ignores it. In the Dragonborn DLC, there is a book called Waking Dreams that allows the reader to travel to Apocrypha, the realm of Hermaeus Mora. Each chapter of the book takes you deeper into the realm. The book is a portal, shaped like literature. The realm you travel to is a library. The Daedric prince who rules it is the prince of knowledge and fate. The whole DLT suggests that seeking forbidden knowledge changes you, and the mechanism through which you seek it is reading. There is a mine in Darkwater Crossing where a man named Werner Rockchucker works. He hates his job. He says this directly if you talk to him. He is not going to leave. His wife is there. He is trapped in a job he hates, in a place he does not particularly like. And he knows it. And he stays anyway. Werner Rockchucker is doing what an enormous number of real people do every day. He ended up in a Bethesda game about dragons. The dungeon Alftand is a Dwemer ruin that was explored by an expedition before the player arrives. The expedition did not survive. Journals scattered through the dungeon tell you what happened. The group fell apart under pressure. There was distrust. There were accusations. People who should have worked together turned on each other. The Dwemer architecture, the Falmer, the darkness, these were not what destroyed the expedition. The expedition destroyed itself. There is a character named Quintus Navale in Windhelm who is an apothecary's assistant. He is trying to learn alchemy from an old woman named Nurelion who is dying. Nurelion has the knowledge and is too sick to use it. Quintus has the energy and is not yet skilled enough. There is a quest about a white phial, a legendary object Nurelion spent his life searching for. When you find it, it is cracked. Nurelion dies disappointed. Quintus is left with the knowledge, the shop, and a cracked legend. A follow-up quest allows you to repair the phial. Quintus keeps it in Nurelion's honour. He inherited the obsession with the treasure. There is a location called Forelhost, mentioned earlier, that has a dragon priest named Rargot sealed inside. What is worth returning to is that Rargot is not the most powerful dragon priest in the game. He is mid-tier. But his location, his tomb, his story, the cultists who died for him, suggest that in his time he was significant. He was important enough that hundreds of people sealed themselves in to die with him. History has been unkind to his reputation. Skyrim has a lot of characters who were once significant and are now obstacles. In the questline involving the companions, there is a relic called the Fragments of Wootrad. Wootrad was the axe of Iskramor, the legendary founding figure of the companions. The axe was shattered, the fragments were scattered. Recovering them is part of the questline. When they are assembled, the axe is restored. This is a resurrection story told through metalworking. The weapon that made a civilization comes back together in time for the civilization it represents to confront what it has become. There is an NPC in Riften named Talon J, who is an Argonian waiter at the Bee and Barb Inn. He wants to marry a Nord woman named Kirava. He has been making her a ring using 3 different gemstones, each representing a different commitment. He describes each stone and its meaning if you ask him. He is a person in a game full of conflict who is quietly building a future. He just needs the gems. The labyrinthian dungeon contains the tomb of the Archmage Shalador. Shalador is one of the most famous wizards in Elder Scrolls history. His library, Shalador's library, is a mechanic in the Elder Scrolls Online game. His writings appear throughout the series. In Skyrim, you walk through the ruin of something he built and encounter the echo of a battle that killed the people he sent there. Shalador is a legend who, like all legends examined closely, is also responsible for losses. There is a word wall in a location called Shearpoint that is guarded by both a dragon and a dragon priest. Two major enemies in the same location at the same word wall, both guarding the same shout. This is the only location in the game where this occurs. The developers chose to double the guardians at this one wall. The shout at Shearpoint is Throw Voice. Two powerful beings are guarding the ability to project illusions of sound. The combination of guardians and the shout they guard is either ironic or deliberate. It might be both. In the Thieves Guild, there is a character named Delvin Mallory who gives you a series of jobs across Skyrim's major cities. Each city has a special job that, when completed, restores something to the guild. A merchant becomes a contact, a fence becomes available. The guild grows. Delvin has been running the jobs for years before you arrive. He has been sustaining the guild's operations with routine work, while the leadership chases the main storyline. He is the guild's operational backbone. He is also warm, funny, and occasionally sincere in ways that catch you off guard. There is a location called Pine Peak Cavern where a mother bear and her cubs live. They are aggressive if you approach. There is no quest here. There is no treasure. There are just bears being bears. The developers modelled a family. They made the mother bear aggressive in defense of the cubs. If you kill the mother, the cubs wander. They have pathing. They go somewhere. The game did not need to model this. It did anyway. In Whiterun, if you enter the companions' mead hall called Jorvaska, you can hear the companions arguing or joking or discussing things. The conversations change based on your progress in the questline. Early on, they are a family that doesn't fully trust you yet. Later, the conversations shift. After losses in the questline, the mead hall is quieter. The ambient conversations track the emotional state of the group. If you go back to Jorvaska after the questline ends, it is different from how it was at the beginning. Something was lost, and the sound of the room reflects it. There is a character named Anska in a dungeon called Highgate Ruins. She is trying to recover a scroll that belonged to her ancestor. She will follow you through the dungeon and fight beside you. When you get the scroll, she reads it, and thanks you, and leaves. She had a personal quest that was entirely separate from anything you were doing, and she needed help to complete it, and she found it in the form of the Dragonborn wandering into her dungeon. She came prepared. She just needed a partner. The midden beneath the College of Winterhold has, in its deepest section, a gauntlet with a summoning circle that can summon a powerful Dremora. The Dremora wants a particular item. If you bring it to him repeatedly, he upgrades what he gives you in return. He is conducting a transaction. He is a demon prince conducting commerce from inside a magic circle beneath a school. He has found a niche. There is a child in solitude named Sfari whose mother has joined a cult. The cult is the one that leads to the quest, the Taste of Death. Sfari will ask you to help her mother. Her mother is beyond help by the time you find her. The questline can end with the cult being destroyed, which includes Sfari's mother. Sfari is left without a parent. The game tracks this. She is still in solitude afterward, still a child. Her situation is not resolved by the quest's completion. The quest is resolved. Her life is not. In the Dawnguard Dilk, there is a segment where you travel into the Soul Cairn, the realm where souls go when they are captured in soul gems. The souls there are not dramatic. They are exhausted, They wander. They have forgotten much of who they were. They occasionally say things that suggest they remember they were people, but can't quite access the details. The soul cairn is what happens to souls who are used as fuel. The game asks you to walk through it and lets the weight of it settle before asking you to press forward. There is a mine called Kolskegger Mine that has been taken over by Forsworn. One miner, named Parvo Atius, escaped. He is waiting at a nearby settlement, hoping someone will clear the mine. He can't go back alone. He can only wait. He tells you what happened with the kind of flat affect that comes after shock. If you clear the mine, he goes back. He thanks you. He picks up his tools. He goes back to work in the place where his co-workers were killed. Because it's his mine, and the work is still there, and he doesn't have anywhere else to go. The ending of Skyrim's main questline involves fighting Alduin at Sovngarde, the Nordic afterlife. You are assisted by the shades of heroes long dead who were trapped in Sovngarde because Alduin was eating them. After Alduin is defeated, the heroes can finally rest. They say goodbye and fade. You return to the living world. The actual ending, the cutscene, is brief. The game continues. You go back to doing quests. The biggest moment in the game's central story is followed by Skyrim simply continuing to exist and offering you more things to do. The world does not stop, because the World Eater is dead. There is a book in Skyrim called the Alduin-Akatosh Dichotomy that argues about whether Alduin is truly a separate entity from Akatosh, the dragon god of time. The argument is academic. The evidence is textual. The author presents multiple interpretations. He does not reach a conclusion. He writes toward one and then stops. The book is an unfinished academic paper left inside a fantasy world, and if you read the Elder Scrolls lore closely, the question it's asking is one the developers themselves may not have fully resolved. There is a watchtower called Fort Dunstad in the Pale that has a fully functional and fully staffed bandit operation. They have organised themselves. They have a leader. They have a fire. They have a storage system. They are bandits with infrastructure. One of them, if you read his journal, came to banditry after losing his farm. He tells himself that what he is doing is temporary. He has been telling himself this for 2 years. The journal suggests he knows it is not temporary. Serana, the vampire companion from Dawnguard, has more than 5,000 lines of dialogue. This makes her one of the most voiced characters in the game. She reacts to more situations than almost any other companion. She has opinions about dungeons, about enemies, about architecture. She comments on the soul cairn. She comments on her family. She has an interior life that the game surfaces continuously. The developers gave her a quantity of voice that suggests she was someone they cared about getting right. In Riften, there is a beggar named Edda, who sits near the market. She has a dialogue that most players skip. If you listen to her, she tells you that she used to have a different life. She does not elaborate unless pressed. When pressed, the details are not dramatic. She made choices. Some didn't work. She is not asking for sympathy. She is asking for a coin. This is one of the most honest characterizations in the game. There is a dragon named Durnevir in the Soul Cairn. He made a bargain with the necromancers who control the realm and has been trapped there ever since. He has not been outside in centuries. When you defeat him and later summon him to Tamriel, he looks around at the world with something that reads as wonder. He breathes the air. He has been underground for so long that sky affects him. He teaches you his name as a shout, which is a form of intimacy in dragon culture. He is one of the most affecting dragons in the game because he has been lonely. In the quest The Whispering Door, there is a Daedric artifact called the Ebony Blade that must be fed on the blood of friends. The more people who trust you that you kill with it, the more powerful it becomes. The quest that introduces it is accessible in Whiterun, a city full of people who trust you by the end of the main questline. The game put a friendship-consuming weapon in the place, most likely to be full of your allies. This is deliberate. There is a Dunmer woman in Windhelm named Suvaris Atheron who works as a dockhand and records ships coming in and out. She is a Dunmer doing honest work in a city that does not like Dunmer. She keeps records for people who would prefer she were elsewhere. There is a quest where someone wants you to steal her records to embarrass the shipping operation. She has done nothing wrong. The quest asks you to harm her professionally because someone else wants leverage. You can refuse. Most players don't, because the quest marker doesn't explain what's being taken from her. The Greybeards are aware that their guidance of the Dragonborn is complicated by political implications. They know the civil war is happening. They know that the Dragonborn could change its outcome. They deliberately stay neutral. There is a scene where Arngir, the Greybeard who speaks for the group, refuses to be drawn into the war's politics. His refusal is not cowardice. It is a philosophical position held by men who believe that some things are too dangerous to involve themselves in. The oldest and most powerful humans in Skyrim are the ones who have chosen to do nothing about most things. There is a quest called Kyne's Sacred Trials, where a spirit named Froki's grandson, a huntsman named Froki Whetted Blade, asks you to hunt sacred guardian animals on behalf of the goddess Kyne. Each animal is a spirit guardian. Killing them is an act of devotion. The quest frames hunting as prayer. The animals fight back. Froki is an old man who believes completely in what he is asking you to do. He has been waiting for someone capable of completing the trials. He thanks you without ceremony when you finish. Just a nod. The game does not inflate the moment. In the Dawnguard DLC, Serana's father, Lord Harkon, is the main villain, a vampire lord who wants to blot out the sun. His motivation is religious. He believes this is what his god demands of him. He is not wrong about this exactly. His interpretation of his god's will is extreme, but the game's lore supports that the god in question would benefit from the outcome. He is a true believer doing a monstrous thing for sincere reasons. His daughter opposes him not on theological grounds, but because she knows him and knows what he has become. The conflict is personal before it is ideological. There is a camp called Serpentstone Isle, accessible only by swimming in northern waters. It is extremely cold up there. The island has a ritual circle and nothing else. There is no quest to take you there. There is a word wall visible from the shore. The island exists as something to find if you are the kind of person who swims in the cold northern sea, looking for things. In Windhelm, there is an ongoing cold case called the Butcher Murders, which became the Blood on Ice quest. While investigating, you can find that city guards have been aware of the murders and have done minimal investigation. The guard dialogue, when pressed, suggests they considered the Dunmer living in the Grey Quarter to be the primary suspects without evidence. Their investigative bias slowed the case. The murderer, meanwhile, is not a Dunmer. The game built systemic investigative failure into its murder mystery. There is a follower named Mjol the Lioness who comes with a quest. She lost her sword, Grimsever, in a Dwemer ruin. She wants it back. If you retrieve it, she can become a companion. She is one of the better companions mechanically, and she has strong opinions about Riften's corruption. She and Erin, the man who found her wounded and helped her recover, are implied to have a close bond. Erin follows her everywhere, even if she goes with you. He is not her companion. He just loves her, and so he follows. He has no quest. He has no purpose, except staying near her. He does this indefinitely. The dragon language word wall at the entrance to Ustengrav gives you a word for become ethereal, a shout that makes you temporarily invulnerable and unable to attack. It is a defensive shout. The entrance to the dungeon gives you the word for invulnerability. The dungeon then tests your ability to move through space without stopping. The shout is the key to the dungeon's design. The game teaches you a tool and then immediately builds a room around using it. There is a book found in Dwemer ruins called Nachunak's Fire and Faith. It is a theological text written by a Dwemer scholar about the nature of religious belief. The Dwemer, in the game's lore, are famous for rejecting religion entirely. They sought to transcend the divine through logic and science. This text, which exists within their ruins, is an argument against that rejection. A Dwemer who believed in something. The book was presumably suppressed or ignored. It survived anyway. Cicero, the Dark Brotherhood jester, keeps a journal. The journal runs from his early days as a Dark Brotherhood assassin through his decline into what he becomes. The early journals are coherent, professional, even warm. The later ones are fragmented. The transition happens gradually. You can read the beginning of a man and the end of him in sequence. It is one of the most complete character arcs in the game, told entirely through a diary hidden in a location most players walk through quickly. There is a location called Arcwind Point in the mountains near the rift. It has no quest associated with it. It has a dragon priest at the summit. It has a word wall. It also has, when you stand there, one of the most complete views of the mountain range available in the game. The dragon priest has been at that summit for thousands of years with the best view in Skyrim, and has presumably never noticed it. In the quest, Discerning the Transmundane, a Daedric prince named Hermaeus Mora asks you to gather information from a group of people who don't want to give it. The information is their collective knowledge, their cultural secrets. Mora wants it. He uses you to get it. When you deliver it, he takes it, and the people who held it lose something they cannot recover. You were the mechanism through which a god committed a theft. The quest gives you an artifact. It does not address what was taken. There is a Redguard woman named Sardir in Whiterun who is hiding under a false identity. A mercenary is looking for her. She says the mercenary is working for a corrupt regime that wants to silence her. The mercenary says she is a traitor who sold out her city. Both tell you a story. The game does not tell you which one is true. You have to choose. Whichever side you take, someone is harmed. The truth is not accessible. The game built an unresolvable moral question into a city full of people who trust you. There is a man in the Ratway named Gian the Fist who is protecting someone and will fight you if you get close. He is not a named villain. He has no quest. He is just a man in a sewer who decided that protecting someone was worth fighting a dragonborn. He loses. Most players loot him and move on. He made a choice for someone. The game recorded that he made it. In Solstheim, there is a Dunmer village called Raven Rock that has been suffering from an ash blight and a lack of trade and general decline. The residents are aware that Raven Rock is less than it was. They remember when it was prosperous. The decline is not dramatic. It is slow and ongoing, and the people who live in it have adapted. They are proud of what the town was and uncertain about what it will be. Raven Rock is a community dealing with decline without abandoning itself. There is a giant camp called Talking Stone Camp. Giants do not talk. The name suggests they once did, or that someone believed they did, or that something in the camp speaks in a way that was interpreted as speech. The name exists. The explanation does not. There is a Forsworn camp called Druidak Redoubt that is large enough to suggest it is a significant settlement rather than a simple camp. The Forsworn who live there have children's belongings visible in some of the structures. They have a home. It is a home built from salvaged materials in a hostile landscape by people who have been driven from every other place they tried to live. The game does not comment. The evidence is in the environment. In Windhelm, Ulfric Stormcloak sits in his throne and gives speeches. He also, occasionally, sits alone at the table in his war room. He does not sleep like other NPCs. He keeps very long hours. If you see him when the city is quiet, he is standing or sitting, but not resting. He carries the weight of what he has started, and the game gives him insomnia as a character detail, without making it a plot point. There is a cave near Falkreath, called Haymar's Shame, that has already been mentioned, but what was not mentioned is the name. Shame. The cave is named for what became of the man who went there. His transformation from hunter to vampire is the shame the name references. The cave carries his failure in its designation. He is gone. The name remains. There is a book called The Buying Game that is a guide to negotiation tactics in Skyrim's marketplace. It is written with genuine advice. The advice is practical. Someone in a medieval fantasy world wrote a business negotiation manual, and it is available on shelves in a game about dragons. The information in it would not be useless in the real world. In the Dawnguard DLC, if you side with the vampires, you eventually become a vampire lord. The ending of that storyline involves Serana's father being defeated. If you then speak to Serana, she is complicated about it. He was her father. He was also genuinely awful to her. She does not celebrate, she does not grieve cleanly. She processes it quietly and says she needs time. The game honours that grief does not simplify itself just because the person was bad. There is a location called Snapeleg Cave that is home to her Gravens. Inside the cave is a shrine to her scene, the Daedric Prince of the Hunt. Her Gravens are not typically associated with her scene. The shrine's presence suggests that someone, before or during the Hagravens' occupation, was worshipping the hunter god in that cave. The Hagravens moved in after. The shrine is now in their kitchen. Nobody cleaned it up. In Riften, there is a young orphan girl named Sophie who sells flowers outside the city gates. She is not inside the orphanage. She is outside the city. She has been there long enough that it is her established location. She sleeps, presumably, somewhere. She sells flowers in a city known for crime. She is doing the only thing available to her. If you adopt her, she comes with you to a home. The adoption system in Skyrim exists because players found children like Sophie and needed to do something. There is a mine near Markarth called Left Hand Mine that is run by a woman named Skaggy Scarface. She is matter-of-fact, competent, and not interested in being chatted with at length. She is running a mining operation, and she is doing it well. In a game full of characters who define themselves through conflict, Skaggy is someone who defines herself through work. The mine functions. She made it function. That is enough for her. In Falkreath, there is a cemetery that is unusually large for a small town. The locals explain that Falkreath has always been associated with death. The god of death, Arche, is particularly venerated there. The town's relationship with death is not morbid in the way horror is morbid. It is accepting. Death is simply what Falkreath is known for. The town organises itself around this without finding it strange. It is the most pragmatic theology in the game. There is a book called The Locked Room that is a philosophical thought experiment about whether a room that has never been entered can be said to contain anything. The book is found in a dungeon that has presumably been entered by the dungeon's inhabitants. The dungeon has never been entered by a player before the current playthrough. The thought experiment is present in the one location where its premise is being tested every time someone plays. This might be intentional. Mehrunes Dagon's shrine is accessible in Skyrim, and the quest associated with it involves reassembling an artifact called Mehrunes Razor. To get the pieces, you have to kill the descendants of the man who originally shattered the razor to prevent it from being used. His descendants have kept the pieces safe for generations. When you complete the quest and present the assembled razor to Dagon, Dagon kills the Mythic Dawn cultists who worship him and thanks you. He is pleased. He got what he wanted and disposed of the people who helped you get it. The quest ends with the god you served committing a murder in front of you. In the quest caught red-handed, Hyelga, the Dibellum priestess mentioned earlier, is blackmailed by a character named Svanna Farshield. Svanna is Hyelga's niece and works for her. The blackmail material is Hyelga's collected tokens from the men she has been with. The quest is framed as comedic, but what it actually depicts is a young woman using the only leverage available to her against someone with power over her life. Svanna has been working for Hyelga, presumably, without much say in the matter. The blackmail is a negotiation. It is the only kind available to her. There is a ruin near the coast of Harfingar called Broken Fang Cave that has a unique detail. Inside is a skeleton positioned to appear to be reading a book. The skeleton is not near any visible light source. The skeleton has been reading in the dark. The book it was reading is still open. The image of a skeleton reading a book in a dark cave does not have a quest or an explanation. It is just a moment frozen at the end of something. In the city of Markarth, the Warrens are where the poorest residents of the city live. The Warrens are exactly what the name suggests: small rooms. Minimal furnishing. People stacked into the lowest and darkest part of a city built inside a mountain. One of the residents there is a woman named Omluag, who complains about the Warrens and about the foreman who treats them poorly. She has been making that complaint for as long as the game tracks. The foreman continues to treat them poorly. She keeps making the complaint. It is one of the few moments in the game where a character is explicitly and continuously unsuccessful at making things better, and keeps trying anyway. There is a location called Hilgrun's Tomb that has a family story attached to it. A man named Goldir is trying to stop a necromancer from desecrating his ancestor's tomb. His aunt, who was supposed to guard the tomb, has been turned against him. The quest is straightforward, but if you talk to Goldir during the quest, he is scared in a way that feels specific. He is not scared of dying, he is scared of failing his family, of being the one who let this happen. He fights anyway, because the alternative is that it happened while he did nothing. In Winterhold, the town that sits near the college, most of the town has fallen into the sea. The residents blame the college. The college disputes this. The truth of what caused the Great Collapse is not confirmed in the game. Both sides have a case. The town that remains is a skeleton of what it was, and the people who live there carry a grievance that has become foundational to who they are. The town exists to resent the college. Without the grievance, it might not exist at all. There is a ship called the Kataraya that is the Emperor's vessel and the location of one of the final Dark Brotherhood quests. The ship is enormous. It is manned by Imperial soldiers. You infiltrate it to assassinate the Emperor. The Emperor, as mentioned earlier, is waiting for you. He has dismissed his bodyguards. He tells you to do what you came to do. He talks to you first. He is interested in who you are. He is not afraid. He has decided that today is the day, and he wants to look at the person who ends it. He is the most dignified assassination target in the game. In the quest, The Forsworn Conspiracy, you can be arrested and sent to Sidna Mine, the prison inside the mine, inside Markarth. The mine is where Forsworn prisoners work. You have to earn your way out through the prison's internal politics. The quest inside the prison is one of the most constrained experiences in the game. You have no equipment. You have limited options. You have to navigate social dynamics with people who have been in there for years. When you get out, your equipment is returned, but the experience of being genuinely limited, of having almost nothing, is the point of that section. The game removes what you've accumulated to show you who you are without it. There is a character named Borkle the Beast who guards the Forsworn leader in Sidna Mine. He is large and dangerous and will fight you if you're not careful. He will also tell you, if you approach correctly, that he wants something specific from you. He wants a shiv. Not as a weapon, he already has those. He wants it because it is the currency of the prison. He is one of the most powerful people in the enclosed world of the mine, and he still operates within its economics. Power adapts to the systems available to it. The books available in Skyrim number over 300. Many of them are complete short stories, histories, religious texts, or academic papers. They were written for the game, but they function as a library. Players have read them. Some players have played through Skyrim, reading every book in sequence before doing any quests. The game rewards this with lore and skill increases. It also just rewards it with the experience of reading a library assembled by people who cared about building a world. There is a Dwemer ruin called Arkanthams that is the starting point of a questline involving a Dwemer researcher named Katria. Katria is a ghost. She died in the ruin while searching for something, and her ghost is still there, still searching. The questline takes you across multiple Dwemer ruins following her research. She is a companion who is already dead. She cannot be hurt because she is a ghost, and she cannot rest until the research is finished. The questline concludes in a way that lets her rest. She thanks you and fades. She has been in those ruins for some time. She just needed help finishing. Skyrim ends. The main quest concludes. The side quests run out eventually if you pursue them all. The world continues. The sun rises and sets. NPCs keep their schedules. The game does not stop when you stop having things to do. It just runs. The wind moves through the trees in Falkreath. The fires burn in the inns. The giants walk their mammoths across the tundra. The world was built to be inhabited, and when you have done everything, it is still there, inhabiting itself, as if it doesn't know you're finished. You said, continue for an additional 8 hours, continue for an additional 8 hours 22:46. Claude responded, there is a book found in the Arcaneum at the College of Winterhold called Immortal Blood. There is a book found in the Arcaneum at the College of Winterhold called Immortal Blood. It is a short story about a vampire hunter who tracks a vampire to a remote location, and, when he finally corners his target, realizes the vampire is not what he expected. The vampire is old, not dangerous in the way the hunter anticipated, just old. The ending is ambiguous. The hunter leaves. The book does not say whether he completed his mission. It simply ends with him walking away in the snow. In the City of Solitude, there is a woman named Yvette San who sells spiced wine near the marketplace. She has a small business problem. A spice shipment has been held up at the docks by a guard demanding a bribe. She asks for help. The quest is minor, but the detail embedded in it that a small vendor's entire seasonal product is being held hostage by one corrupt guard, and that she has no recourse except to find a stranger. And ask for help is a portrait of how petty corruption actually functions. It doesn't require malevolent intent. It just requires one person with a little authority and no accountability. There is a horse in the Dawnguard DLC named Arvak, whose soul can be found in the Soul Cairn. He was ridden into the Soul Cairn by someone who loved him, and he became separated from his rider. His soul wanders the cairn, looking for the person who brought him there. If you find his skull and return it to him, you can summon him as a spectral horse. He crosses the boundary between the living world and the dead one every time you call him. He is the most loyal character in the DLT. In the town of Rorikstead, there is something quietly wrong. The town is unusually prosperous for its location. The crops are successful in terrain that should not support them. The children of Rorikstead are sold to a Daedric prince in exchange for the town's success, according to some interpretations of the environmental details scattered around the area. The game does not confirm this directly. It leaves the evidence in the environment, names, books, a child who seems to be waiting to leave, and allows the conclusion to form on its own. There is a cave called Sunderstone Gorge that has a word wall and a large group of warlocks. One of the warlocks, if you read the notes in the cave, came there to study the word wall and discovered that the other warlocks were conducting experiments he found morally troubling. He tried to leave. He couldn't. The notes end with him having given up trying to go. He is somewhere in the cave when you arrive. He does not identify himself. He attacks like the others. In Riften, there is a man named Shadow who owes money to a moneylender named Sapphire. Sapphire works for the Thieves Guild. Shadow borrowed money for a business investment that failed. He cannot pay it back. He is afraid. If you talk to Sapphire about it, she will dismiss the debt if you know information about her past, which requires a separate conversation thread with another character. The debt is erased not through money, but through personal leverage. Skyrim's economy frequently works this way. Things are settled through information and obligation rather than coin. There is a dungeon called Valthume where a hero named Valdar is trapped. He has been in the dungeon for centuries, bound to prevent an ancient evil from escaping. He asks for your help. He has been there alone for an enormous amount of time. The game does not make a large point of this. He simply tells you what he needs and why and waits. He is the most patient character in the game. He has had a lot of practice. In Windhelm, if you walk along the docks at night, you can hear an Argonian dock worker named Scout's Many Marshes complain about working conditions. He and the other Argonians are paid less than their Nord counterparts for the same work. He knows this. He knows why. He has done the math on what it would take to change it, and he does not have the power to change it. He is not resigned exactly. He is realistic. There is a difference. The game draws it without underlining it. There is a Khajiit caravan led by a merchant named Risard, who, if you talk to him at length, will discuss the economics of caravan trading with a sophistication that most NPCs in Skyrim do not display. He understands routes, risk, supply, and demand. He is running a business that operates in a hostile environment with no institutional support. The Khajiit caravans are not allowed inside the cities. They are operating outside the formal economy and doing so profitably. Risard is the most economically literate character in the game. There is a location called Boulderful Cave that is home to a conjurer named Valsvaran. He has been summoning Dremora and studying them. His notes describe increasing familiarity with one specific Dremora. The notes begin academically and become increasingly personal. By the last note, he is describing the Dremora the way someone describes a friend. The game does not tell you what happened to the relationship. Vals is dead when you arrive. The Dremora is there. The Dremora does not appear to mourn. In the quest Forbidden Legend, you pursue the story of the Archmage Goldur, who was killed by his own sons after they stole his amulet and split it between them. The sons were then hunted down and sealed in tombs. The story was erased from official records. A scholar in the College of Winterhold has been trying to recover it. The erasure of Goldur from history is complete enough that most people have never heard of him, and the amulet bearing his name has no known origin. The quest restores the amulet, and in doing so recovers a story that was deliberately buried. There is an abandoned house in Markarth called Vindrel Hall before you purchase it. It has bloodstains that never quite wash out. The history of the house involves a murder that becomes the subject of a Dark Brotherhood adjacent quest. But even after the quest, even after you move in, the house has a quality. The architecture is fine, the location is acceptable, but it was a crime scene first, and the game lets you feel that. In Riften, the Temple of Mara is staffed by a priest named Maramal, who will perform wedding ceremonies. The game allows you to marry a wide range of characters. The marriage system is functional, but not particularly romantic. You equip an amulet. You ask. The person says yes or no. You go to the temple. You get married. The ceremony is brief. The married life that follows consists of the spouse moving into your home and occasionally giving you food and a small income. The game models marriage as a logistical arrangement. Maramal officiates all of it with the same level of enthusiasm. There is a bandit leader at a place called Broken Helm Hollow, named Content, deleted in the files. meaning the character was named, but the name was cut from visible display. She fights like a named character. She has armor that suggests distinction. But her name is not accessible to the player. She was important enough to name, and important enough to remove the name from. She exists in a middle state between significance and anonymity. The Dwemer, the ancient civilization whose ruins you explore throughout Skyrim, disappeared simultaneously and completely in a single moment during an event called the Disappearance of the Dwarves. No bodies were found, no survivors, no explanation that fully satisfies. The leading theory involves a failed attempt to harness divine power. The Dwemer were trying to become gods. They vanished instead. Their ruins remain, functional in many cases, still running on power sources no one understands, maintained by automatons, still executing instructions from people who are gone. The Dwemer built things designed to last forever. They did not last. There is a small island called Japheth's Folly that is the location of a pirate operation. The quest to reach it is part of the Thieves' Guild line. The island's name is its own story. Someone named Japhet came to this island, and something went wrong. The pirates who occupied it afterward kept the name. They sail under the identity of someone else's failure. In the Companion's questline, there is a moment where you are asked to hunt a specific person who has been named a prey target by the faction. The person is not a villain in any clear sense. They are simply someone the Companions have decided to hunt. The quest asks you to do it anyway. The Companions are not purely heroic. They are a mercenary warrior faction, with a code that includes hunting people who are designated as targets. The questline does not examine this. There is a location called Fallowstone Cave, north of Riften, where a group of giants lives. Inside the cave, there is a passage to a place called Giant's Grove, which is the location of a Daedric quest for Hircine. The grove is peaceful and strange. The giants who live near it do not enter it. Something in the grove is more powerful than the giants, and they are aware of it. The grove has a sacred quality that even beings as large and powerful as giants recognize and stay out of. In the Dragonborn Dialk, there is a character named Freya from the Skarl village who accompanies you through the early part of the Dialk. She is observant. She comments on what she sees. One thing she comments on, if you pay attention, is the nature of Mirak's influence. She describes the enslaved workers not with horror, but with a kind of grief. She has seen people taken by things they couldn't understand before. Her people have a history with that kind of loss. The comment is brief. The history it implies is long. There is a Nord woman in Falkreath named Indara Karelia who is dead before you arrive. She is one of the victims referenced in a quest about a murder. The murder victim's death is what draws you into the investigation. Indara herself is never developed. She is a reason for the quest, not a character in it. The game uses her absence as a narrative device. She matters because she is gone. There is a cave called Cragslane Cavern where an illegal animal fighting ring is being operated. Wolves and skeevers are kept in cages and forced to fight. The operation is run by bandits. The animals are aggressive from mistreatment and will attack you along with the bandits. The quest that brings you there is minor, but the operation described, the cages, the conditions, the purpose, is modelled in enough detail to be uncomfortable. The game did not need to make it detailed. It did anyway. In Whiterun, there is a character named Nazim, who asks if you have been to the Cloud District recently, and then tells you that of course you haven't. Nazim is universally disliked by the game's player base. He is condescending, self-satisfied, and smug in a way that reads as deeply familiar. He is the person in every social environment who has achieved slightly more than you and will not stop mentioning it. He is so well calibrated as an irritant that players who have not been to Skyrim in years still remember him specifically. There is a book called 2920, The Last Year of the First Era, which spans 12 volumes, one for each month of a year during a major war. The books are written as a novel. They follow multiple characters across a complex political conflict. If you read all 12 volumes in order, you experience a complete narrative arc with character deaths, political betrayals, and an ending that is both conclusive and sad. The books are scattered across Skyrim's world. Collecting and reading them is an act of archaeology. In the city of Markarth, there is a forsworn attack in broad daylight at the start of the game's visit. A man is killed in front of witnesses. Guards arrive. A forsworn is killed. The man who tells you about the conspiracy Eltris is dead by the time you've investigated. The city guard, controlled by the Silverblood family, arrests you for the murders. You have uncovered a truth the city once kept quiet. The city's response is to silence you. The quest ends with your imprisonment. The investigation succeeded and destroyed you simultaneously. There is a unique NPC in Riften's Thieves Guild named Niruin, who is an archer and a guild member who came from a wealthy wood elf family. He became a thief because the life of nobility bored him. He talks about his family with a mixture of affection and dismissal. He misses them. He would never go back. He made his choice for reasons that made sense to him and lives with the ambivalence that followed. He is one of the guild members with the most clearly articulated interior life. The Dragonborn DLC introduces a location called Apocrypha, the realm of Hermaeus Mora. It is an infinite library made of black tentacles and drowned light. The books in Apocrypha contain forbidden knowledge. The realm is navigated through reading. Mora observes everything. Nothing is hidden from him. Walking through Apocrypha is the experience of being watched by something that knows you completely and finds you interesting in the way a researcher finds a specimen interesting. He is not malevolent toward you. He is curious. In the Elder Scrolls, being the object of a Daedric prince's curiosity is its own kind of danger. There is a mine called Red Belly Mine in the Rift that has been taken over by flame Atronachs. The miners cannot work. They are waiting outside. One of them explains that the Atronachs appeared without warning. Nobody summoned them. They simply showed up and drove everyone out. The spontaneous appearance of elemental beings in a working mine is presented as an inconvenience rather than a mystery. The miners want their mine back. The origin of the Atronachs is not their concern. They are practical people with a fire problem. In the Civil War questline, if you take the Imperial side, there is a general named Tullius who is pragmatic to a degree that borders on cold. He uses people effectively. He respects competence and dismisses sentiment. When the war ends, he gives a speech about the future of Skyrim that is professional and measured, and does not pretend to feel something he doesn't. He is a good commander because he is organised and clear-headed. He is not a good politician because he does not understand why people need to believe in things. There is a dungeon beneath Whiterun called Catacombs of Whiterun that is referenced in dialogue but is not accessible in the base game. The reference suggests a history beneath the city that the game never shows you. Whiterun has a visible present and a sealed past. The catacombs are the part of the city the game acknowledges but does not open. There is a character named Marandru Joe who travels with the Khajiit caravans. He is a mage, which is unusual for a caravan guard. He doesn't explain why he is doing caravan work instead of something more aligned with his skills. He simply travels. He is one of several caravan characters whose presence raises questions the game does not answer, which is its own form of characterization. The unanswered question implies a history. In the quest The Taste of Death, the cannibal cult led by a priest named Namira operates inside Markarth's Hall of the Dead. The cult has been operating there for some time. The priest of Arkay, who normally tends the Hall of the Dead, is involved, compromised, and complicit. The cult has corrupted the city's relationship with its own dead. The Hall of the Dead is where Markarth's citizens come to mourn. It is also, quietly, where they are being consumed. The quest reveals this. The game allows you to join the cult and continue. There is a location called Arkwind Point mentioned previously for its view, but the dragon priest there, named Vokun, has a mask that when worn enhances schools of magic, associated with control. Shout, illusion, alteration. He was a priest of control in life, and his artifact extends control in death. The dragon priest's masks are consistent with their identities in ways that reward research into who each priest was. There is a character named Gormlaith Goldenhilt who appears as a shade in Sovngarde. She is one of the 3 ancient heroes who help you fight Alduin. She is introduced through stories and songs before you meet her shade. She has a reputation for ferocity. When you meet her, she lives up to it. She fights Alduin with the enthusiasm of someone who has been waiting for this specifically. She was already a legend when she died. In Sovngarde, death has given her more time to be exactly who she was. In the quest A Return to Your Roots, you collect unusual mushrooms called Crimson Nirnroot that grow only in Blackreach. The quest is a successor to a quest from Oblivion involving regular Nirnroot. The character who sent you on the original quest is dead. His daughter has taken up his research. The quest continues a generational project. Someone spent their life studying a plant. Their child continued the work. The game spans that continuity with a side quest most players miss. There is a location called Morvunskar that is a fort occupied by warlocks. The warlocks are protecting a portal. The portal leads to a celebration being held by the Daedric Prince Sanguine, the Prince of Debauchery and Revelry. The warlocks are guarding the entrance to a party. They are the bouncers of a Daedric celebration. They fight with the conviction of true believers. They are true believers in having a good time, and they will kill you before they let you interrupt it uninvited. There is a bandit at a location called Halted Stream Camp who has a note in his pocket about getting rich. He has a plan. The plan involves acquiring iron ore, which the camp is full of, and selling it. It is a reasonable plan. He is dead when you find him, killed either by you or by whoever was at the camp before you. His plan was reasonable. His profession killed him before he could implement it. There is a Daedric quest for Boethia, the Prince of Deceit and Assassination, that asks you to lead a follower to a shrine and sacrifice them. The follower trusts you. The game does not provide a non-named sacrifice option in the base game. You have to bring someone who has agreed to follow you. Boethia requires that the sacrifice come willingly, which they do, because they don't know what you're bringing them to. The quest is one of the most ethically uncomfortable in the game, not because it is dramatic, but because it is quiet. In Riften, the Ratway is home to a former Penitus Oculatus agent named Gisha, who is working as an informant for the Thalmor. He is the kind of person who was part of an official institution, lost that position, and is now using his remaining skills in service of something smaller and meaner. He is not a villain in the epic sense. He is someone who needed money and had a particular skill set. The Thalmor had money. The arrangement followed naturally. There is a letter you can find in various locations in Skyrim, written by a Dunmer named Revin Sardri to his sister. He is telling her he is fine, that the business is going well, that Windhelm is acceptable. The letter is cheerful. The conditions for Dunmer in Windhelm, which the game shows you directly, are not cheerful. The letter is the kind of communication sent to a family member to prevent them from worrying. It describes a life slightly better than the one being lived. In Solstheim, there is a merchant named Fethis Alor in Ravenrock, who sells mostly agricultural goods. He will tell you, if prompted, that the ash has made farming difficult but not impossible. He has adapted his inventory to what can actually be grown in the current conditions. He is a merchant who has revised his entire business model around a geological disaster and is continuing to operate. He does not dwell on what the island used to be like. He sells what can be grown now. There is a Dwemer construct called a Dwarven Centurion that appears in most Dwemer ruins as the most dangerous automated guardian. The Centurion breathes steam. It is enormous. The Dwemer built it to protect their secrets with something that requires significant effort to destroy. The Centurions are still running. Their masters have been gone for thousands of years. The Centurions do not know this. They were built without the capacity to know this. They just protect. In the Dawnguard DLC, there is a segment where Serana's mother, Valerica, is found in the Soul Cairn. She sealed herself inside to protect a piece of an Elder Scroll. She has been in the Soul Cairn for centuries. When you reach her, she is alert, composed, and immediately strategic. She has spent centuries in the realm of dead souls and emerged with her mind intact. She talks about her daughter. She has been in the Soul Cairn for centuries, and the thing she cares most about is Serana. The relationship between them is complicated by everything that has happened. They haven't spoken in centuries. Valerica has spent that time preserving something for Serana's protection. Serana does not know this yet. There is a location called Darklight Tower where a group of her graven servants are holding a woman named Ilia prisoner. Ilia is not a prisoner in the traditional sense. She is a witch who wants to stop the ritual her coven is about to complete. She needs help to fight her way out. Her mother is the leader of the coven. The quest ends with Ilia killing her mother. It is presented practically. She made a choice. She carried it out. Afterward, she does not perform grief. She simply moves forward. There is a Nord named Thoring who runs the inn in Dawnstar. His daughter is troubled by the nightmares that have been afflicting the town. He tries to comfort her. He does not have the means to fix what's wrong, and he knows it. He runs the inn, he takes care of his daughter to the best of his ability, and he listens to people complain about the dreams every day. He is doing what he can with what he has. The capacity and the desire to help are mismatched. He does what he can anyway. There is a book called Frontier, Conquest and Accommodation, which is a scholarly analysis of how the Empire manages the territories it absorbs. It is dry reading. It is also genuinely analytical about imperialism, describing both the benefits and the costs of imperial expansion in terms of cultural loss and economic integration. The book was written for a game about fighting in an empire, and it argues, dispassionately, for complexity in how that empire is understood. In Falkreath, there is a blacksmith named Lod who wants a dog. Specifically, he wants you to lure a dog he's seen nearby with some fresh meat. The dog is Barbas, who is divine, and following him triggers the Clavicus Vile questline. But before any of that, there is just a man in a small town who wants a dog. He saw one. He liked it. He wants to keep it. His desire for a pet is what opens the door to a Daedric quest involving wishes, murder, and divine bargaining. The mundane and the cosmic start at the same place. In the Dragonborn DLC, there is a temple called the Temple of Mirak, and inside it are enslaved workers building something under Mirak's influence. One of the workers, if you speak to him while he is in the trance, will say something that does not match the situation. He speaks about his farm, about the sky. He is physically present but mentally elsewhere. The trance has not fully taken him. Part of him is still at home. The game gives you this glimpse of the person inside the enslaved body, and then moves the quest forward. There is a ghost named Windelius who is haunting a cellar in Dragonbridge. He has been there for a long time. The reason he is a ghost is that he was not dead when he began haunting the place. He drank a potion to become a ghost, and the effect never wore off. He was trying to protect a treasure he'd found. The protection worked. No one came near the cellar. He has been haunting a cellar voluntarily for so long that he has forgotten it was voluntary. He has forgotten, essentially, who he was. He is a ghost who scared himself into losing his own mind. In the College of Winterhold, there is a master wizard named Sarvos Aaron who serves as Archmage. He is competent and political and carries a secret. The secret is that he was part of the expedition to Labyrinthian mentioned earlier, and he survived because he used the lives of his colleagues to power a seal that would contain the dragon priest inside. He sacrificed his friends. He built his career on the silence of that moment. When the questline revisits it, he says very little. There is nothing to say that makes it acceptable. There is a place called Bronze Water Cave near Winterhold where a troll lives. There is no quest there. There is nothing significant in the cave. The troll is just there, living in the cave, doing what trolls do, which is apparently live in caves. The cave exists as a feature of the landscape that has a resident. The resident does not know it is in a video game. There is a book in Skyrim called The Madness of Pelagius, which is an academic text analysing the mental deterioration of the Emperor, whose mind you walk through in the Sheogorath quest. The academic text describes clinical symptoms. The quest shows you those symptoms from the inside. Reading the book before doing the quest changes how you experience the quest. Reading it after changes how you understand the book. The game built a diagnostic document and an experiential counterpart and scattered them across the world without connecting them with a quest marker. In Riften, there is a woman named Brandshay who is a merchant who was imprisoned on false charges engineered by Maven Blackbriar. When he is in jail, the quest that put him there is complete. When he gets out, he goes back to his market stall. He returns to the place where he was falsely accused and imprisoned and goes back to work. He has nowhere else to go. The injustice is complete and has left no visible exit. There is a giant camp called Golden Rock that has, near the fire, a painting. Giants paint. The paintings are abstract, the colours are earth tones. The subject matter is not identifiable as any specific scene. The painting at Golden Rock is on a rock face near the fire where the giants warm themselves. It has been there as part of the camp's environment for as long as the camp has been there. Giants make art. The game never draws your attention to this. In the Civil War questline on the Stormcloak side, there is a battle to take Waiteren. If you take it, Jarl Balgruuf is deposed and replaced. Balgruuf is one of the more sympathetic Jarls in the game. He has been trying to hold his city outside the war. He did not want this fight. When the Stormcloaks win, he leaves. He does not beg. He gathers what he's allowed to take and goes. He was the wrong person in the wrong place at the wrong time in a war he was trying to avoid. There is a location called Roadside Ruins near Falkreath that contains a Spriggan guarding a shrine. The shrine is dedicated to Kenareth, the nature goddess. The Spriggan is a nature spirit. The Spriggan is protecting the shrine of its associated deity, the way a guard protects a building. It is performing a function. The function is religious. The Spriggan does not have theology, presumably. It just tends what its nature tends toward. There is a woman named Angie who lives in a remote camp in the mountains south of Falkreath. She moved there after members of an Imperial patrol killed her family. She practices archery. She has become extremely skilled. She will train you in archery for free if you pass her tests. She is not looking for revenge exactly. She is just someone who went as far away as possible from the world and kept doing the one thing that gave her something to focus on. She trains you because it gives her purpose. She asks for nothing in return. In Morthal, the local Jarl is a woman named Igrod Ravencroft who has prophetic visions. The visions are not presented as a gift exactly. They are simply something that happens to her. She has learned to interpret them. She has built her governance partly around what she sees. Her advisor, Asilfur, who is also her husband, is protective of her reputation in a way that suggests he has been managing how other people perceive her visions for years. He guards the information. She uses it. They have built a functional partnership around something that could easily be used to dismiss her. There is a cave called Moss Mother Cavern where a hunter named Valder has been injured by Spriggans. His companions are dead. He is waiting for help. He is not panicking. He is sitting against a rock, injured, waiting to see if anyone passes. When you agree to help him, he follows you through the cave, still wounded, still fighting. He thanks you plainly when it's done. He is a hunter who had a bad day in a cave and needed assistance and got it. The simplicity of the interaction is its quality. In the companion's questline, after the main story concludes, if you talk to Vilkas, one of the senior companions, he reflects on what has happened. He is measured. He does not celebrate. The quest involved losses and transformations that changed the faction permanently. Vilkas acknowledges this without drama. He is a warrior who has seen a lot end. He knows how to keep going after things end. The questline is over. The mead hall is still there. He will be there tomorrow. There is a Daedric quest for Mephala, the Prince of Secrets and Manipulation, that involves a magical spider called Nimhe, who has infested a Dwemer ruin. The actual quest for Mephala, the Ebony Blade quest mentioned earlier, runs separately. The Spider Cave is a separate optional encounter that involves Calselmo from Markarth. He wants the spider removed. The spider has been named Nimhe by the locals. The name means poison. Someone named a spider. The spider kept the name. There is an unmarked location on the southern coast of Skyrim where you can find two skeletons sitting in chairs facing the sea. There is a table between them. On the table there are cups. They are positioned as if they sat down together to watch the water and simply stayed. The location has no quest, no note, no explanation. Two people sat down together somewhere beautiful, and that is the last thing they did. There is a character named Miko, who is a dog wandering a road in Shalmark. His owner is dead. He is looking for his owner. If you follow him, he takes you to the place where his owner died. His owner's body is there with a journal explaining what happened. The dog cannot read the journal. He just knows his person is gone and is staying near the place where the person last was. Miko can be adopted as a follower. He follows you from that point. He has transferred his loyalty to a new person because that is what he knows how to do. In the quest Repentance, a woman named Iola leads you to a cave and reveals herself as the cult leader of the cannibals connected to Namira. She is composed. She does not hide what she is. She explains the theology of the cult, the idea that consuming the dead is a form of honouring Namira, with the calm of someone who has made peace with her choices.